The desert was merciless. The sun hung heavy in the sky, beating down on the earth until even the rocks seemed to smolder. She lay there in the sand, weak, broken, and discarded. Her tribe had turned their backs on her. Branded as a burden, whispered to be cursed, she had been cast out to die, left as nothing more than prey for the circling vultures above. Every rasp of her breath echoed with despair, every flutter of shadow from the wings above a reminder that the world had given up on her. Her lips were cracked, her skin burned, and her heart ached with a pain deeper than hunger or thirst, the pain of being abandoned by those she once called family. And yet, fate has a way of moving through silence. Just as her eyes began to close, a sound broke the stillness. Hoofbeats. Steady, firm, carrying with them the rhythm of someone who did not belong to her tribe, nor to the cruelty that had left her here. A lone rider appeared, his figure cutting across the heatwaves of the horizon. He was no warrior of her people, no familiar face, just a stranger. A man who should have passed her by like so many others had. But he didn't. He stopped. He saw her. Dismounting, he approached cautiously, his shadow falling across her trembling body. She was too weak to speak, too broken to ask for help. But he did not wait for words. He knelt beside her, brushed the sand from her skin, and lifted a flask to her lips. Cool water touched her mouth, and in that moment, life flickered back into her eyes. "You're not going to die here," he said softly, as though promising it not only to her but to the desert itself. He should have left. He had his own path, his own burdens. Yet something in her eyes, something fragile and fierce all at once, tethered him. She was a stranger, yes, but to him she was also a soul abandoned when she needed love most. And he could not turn away. For days, he stayed by her side. He hunted what little game the desert offered, built a shelter from canvas and brush, and kept her alive sip by sip, bite by bite. At night, when the stars stretched across the endless sky, she found herself speaking, her voice faint but steadying. She told him of betrayal, of being cast out for failing to bear a child, of being named a curse when sickness swept through her camp. Her people had chosen fear over faith, and she had paid the price. He listened, not with pity but with quiet understanding. "Sometimes," he said, staring into the fire, "the ones who should love us the most are the ones who fear us the deepest. But their choices don't decide your worth." His words were simple, yet they planted something inside her, hope, the kind she thought she'd lost forever. But the desert tested them still. One night, a sandstorm rose, fierce and unrelenting, tearing apart their fragile shelter and filling the air with choking dust. She thought it was the end again, that she would be swallowed by the earth itself. But he shielded her with his body, wrapping his coat around her, refusing to let the storm take her. When the winds finally died, he was battered and exhausted, yet still he smiled at her through the grit and blood. "You're alive," he whispered, as if that was all that mattered. It was then she realized, he had not saved her out of duty or chance. He had chosen her. Each time he could have walked away, he stayed. Each moment he could have given in, he fought. And in his presence, she found herself not as a burden, not as prey, but as a woman worthy of care, of respect, of love. As her strength returned, so too did her spirit. She learned to laugh again, quietly at first, then freely. She walked beside him, no longer leaning, but matching his steps. And he, who had once been a wanderer with no place to call home, began to see her not as someone he had rescued, but as someone who had rescued him in return, from loneliness, from aimless roads, from a life without meaning. The day came when they reached a river, its waters shimmering under the sun like salvation. He told her she was free now, that she could choose any path. She looked at the horizon, at the wilderness that had once meant death, and then back at him, the man who had come from nowhere yet given her everything. "My tribe abandoned me," she said softly, "but you found me. I don't want to go back to the people who cast me aside. I want to go where you go." His eyes met hers, steady and unflinching. "Then you'll never be abandoned again." In that moment, something unspoken bloomed between them, stronger than blood, deeper than fate. Love, not born of possession or duty, but of kindness, sacrifice, and the simple power of seeing someone when no one else will. And so, two lost souls became one. Together, they walked into a future neither had expected but both had been waiting for. She was no longer the woman left for vultures. She was the woman chosen, cherished, loved. And he, once a nameless rider on a lonely trail, had found the one thing he never knew he was searching for. Sometimes, love does not come from where we expect. It comes from the stranger who stops when others pass by, from the heart willing to give when the world has taken everything away. And in that truth, her story became not one of abandonment, but of redemption, proof that even in the harshest desert, kindness can bloom, and love can rise where death once circled.